and welcome to Ops Oops Origami. Sorry we're late. We had technical issues, and by technical issues, I mean I was late because I wasn't home yet. And we had other little things, but we'll blame it on me. So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good. I actually kind of like your intro music, Brian. I don't know where you found that, but it is kind of cool.
Yeah, it was. I was looking for now synth wavy kind of music, so to go with my video that I made AI made. So I needed to make a new one of these days. Maybe the same music, maybe new music, but yeah, it's very groovy. I dig it.
Groovy, man. Groovy.
He says groovy as he drinks his squirt.
Well, yeah, I ran in the house and I didn't really have time to get prepared for the show. So went to the bathroom, grabbed something to drink, and let's go.
Right. Hey, squirt's super fancy.
Yes. So we have many old faces on the show, and then also some haven't returned in a long time, and also somebody new. Let's start with Frankie. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Frankie Barber. I've been in IT for 10 years now. Worked in managed services, 2 different managed services and consulting companies. Come from a consulting company that focused in mergers and acquisitions, and now I'm an infrastructure engineer.
Mergers and acquisitions. How fun was that?
That was not fun at all. I was on the road 50% of the time, and there was some ugly stuff that I didn't care to see and enjoy.
Yeah, I'm from the new company, and I'm here to help.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not here to replace your job, I swear.
That shouldn't be as
That's
funny
somebody
as it
else's
is.
job.
Yeah. Wow. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to
for
be here.
joining us. Shauna.
Oh, hello. I am Shauna. I'm the old guy's daughter. I've also been in IT for 10 years now.
Really?
Disturbing.
That's
about 10
impossible.
years. I started when I was 17. May when I was 17. And now I am a client services manager at a healthcare focused IT firm.
Nice. Grendel.
I am Grendel. I've been in IT for like 18 months now. Before that, I was in construction. Did the switch over. Started off as a help desk agent, and now I'm actually the help desk supervisor for the company that hired me out the gate.
Nice.
That's exciting stuff. Congratulations.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So what I wanted to do with the show, it's just an idea I had probably about a week ago when we were talking about the previous week's show, is kind of wanted to get some feedback because, I mean, all of us have worked like tech support or lower levels of IT previously, but most of us haven't really done that in a long time. We kind of wanted to, I specifically, maybe get some feedback about some of the things that maybe we've forgotten since we were there. What are we doing that doesn't make your life easier? What can we be doing differently to help you help us? If that makes any sense. I don't know, Chris. How would you phrase that? Because I think you understand what I'm trying to get
Right.
at.
No,
you have the best words.
There's that inevitable thing where, as you move along in your IT career, you distance yourself from that help desk, right? And we all remember just how obnoxious the senior resources or the higher level resources were when we'd come to them with what we thought were legitimate questions, and they mock you mercilessly and whatever, right? And sometimes for good reason. But at the same time, like, they could have been more helpful. And the question is, like, as you get there, you don't recognize that transition's happened to you very well. Like, that's kind of the human condition. Nobody remembers what it was like to be a kid, which is why they're so awful to their children. Just ask Shauna and Rick, the old guy. Just kidding.
I have 3 dads on the phone call. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, yeah, I mean, it's really, from that help desk standpoint, from that front line, what are the things that you need from the more experienced, the more senior, the higher level folks in your IT world that you aren't getting, or what are the things that you get that are super useful? So yeah, that's the topic of conversation. I'm going to think into my way bag machine and not remember anything because I'm old and small children. And that just makes you forget everything. So with that being said, let's start it off with Grendel. You're newest amongst us. What's the worst thing like a senior resource has done to you or said to you when you were just trying to get help for a customer?
So honestly, I'm actually pretty lucky. The company that I work with is very accommodating across all sectors. So even as a brand new help desk agent, I mean, I was like 2.5 months in, and I had to reach out to a regional vice president because we had an escalation. And that gentleman didn't even have a problem with. I had to call his personal work cell phone, and that wasn't even his desk phone or anything. He was out on a vacation. And I didn't get reamed or anything like that. I mean, he took care of that problem within the next 20 minutes. We were having an issue with one of our major contracted clients and getting out there to help them. The biggest thing that I would say that I would have a gripe with is when you're talking to people who are at a higher level of that area, not exactly like the regional vice president, but if you're talking with the IT team, the level 3 people, is talking English to us at the help desk level, because we're customer facing, obviously. So we're talking in the very lowest of low terms. And then you guys come off with like, we ask you a question, you come out of left field with 3 different things that we don't know what it means. And we're like, can you speak English? And then you have to really dumb it down. It's like, it's the one that goes in this port and it's called this. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that I can help you with, or answer the question back to you. But that's
Right.
really the biggest thing. I mean, other than that, personally, I don't have a lot of experience with any bad interactions. The district service managers, the vice presidents. I mean, I've gone up and down the chain of people to talk to in all areas, and I can honestly say I haven't once had a bad interaction.
Do you, Brendan, have to talk to other? Now, are these vice presidents and the people you're talking about, are they technical people or are they salespeople? Or do you ever have to talk to like the server guys or the network guys or those people?
So we have our connectivity team that we'll talk to. And actually there's a gentleman on it who runs the whole show of it. And he's a very personable guy. So if you go to him with a question, you're like, hey, I need you to do this, or can you take care of this? The first question out of his mouth back to you is, yeah, do you want to watch? And he'll get on a Teams video with you and he'll share his screen and show you exactly what he's doing. And that actually happened with me a couple times where it was like, yeah, I'll watch. My supervisor at the time was totally okay with me taking the time to do that. And we wound up getting actual documentation on what that process was. And he was like, if you guys are comfortable with this, go ahead and do this. He built documentation for us just because he wanted to. And he's all about everybody being able to do things.
That's cool.
The response time on them is not always good. They had a whole email that you would send it to. And then we decided that if it was something urgent, you would send the email like we're supposed to follow protocol. And then you'd send him a Teams message personally and be like, hey, I need somebody to take a look at this right now. There is also the level 2 IT team over in Cyprus. And we have no contact with them. I have not talked to anybody on that team in the 18, 16 months I've been there now.
They're in Cyprus, you said?
Yeah.
In the country of Cyprus?
Yes.
Wow.
So
Well, they're probably
Good.
sleeping when you're working.
right, yeah,
They have a
that's,
24-hour help desk.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's UTC +2. So, or no, yeah, UTC +2 +3. So, yeah, they're getting done just as you're coming on, which, they have 24 hours. Glad you haven't had to talk to them. Nobody likes to be gotten out of bed.
No. Yeah, the place
So,
better be on fire if somebody's getting me out of bed.
right. So let's Shauna, Frankie, let's duke it out, figure out who's going next.
Oh boy.
Paper, rock, scissors.
Well, I
After
bet
you-
you before, so
ladies
it's all
first.
yours. Oh god. I don't qualify for that.
You don't know her that well.
Nice.
So I think I don't have to work too much when it comes to being with the technical team when things are broken. Like for instance, one of our clients, we have to be connected to the VPN to access their Citrix portal. Otherwise the site just won't load. And for instance, yesterday out of nowhere, one out of our 3 offices couldn't access the site. So I kind of had to work with the networking guys and, kind of figure out like, is this something that we did? Like we just got new fiber implemented. Like, is it because of fiber change and we didn't have it whitelisted, and kind of had to troubleshoot through that. And the guys are, really nice where I'm at, and really, didn't have to really explain anything in depth. I knew what they were talking about from being in networking in the past with you guys. But we essentially determined that it was not our problem, at which point I email out to the client because, that's my role of getting them looped in, and asked, hey, do we know what's going on? This is the issue. Can somebody get back to me on this? And then it took about an hour, and then I just got an email back saying, it should be fixed now. Try again. And like, that's it, So I think that no matter what role you're in, if there's like a problem, putting the background to it, oh yes, somebody made a change, don't worry, we reverted it, that was the issue, something like that, to give us a little more context along the lines of like, yep, it was broken, but now it's not broken, so good luck, I think is my
Well, yeah, because you're going to get questions. Okay, well, it's fixed. Well, what fixed it?
What
Well, I
fixed
don't know. They just said it's fixed.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a great answer.
Yeah, I used to
And then
work
they
with a
look at
guy
me like
years
I'm-
ago that you would say, there's this problem. And then he would say, okay, it's fixed. Okay, it's done. And that was it. He guarded his information, and it was almost like he didn't want to pass that along because he needed to be the guy to fix it the next time. I mean, I don't know if it was job security or whatever his issue was. But
Yeah, don't be an information hoarder.
no,
That's the biggest thing too, is people hoarding information and being like, well, my job is safe as long as I keep you out of the loop. Like
that is
I can't
actually
stand people like that.
That's not how that
180
works.
degrees the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's actually one of the best ways to make sure that you exit a company and maybe an industry, right? Just nobody likes an information hoarder, and they're eventually going to find the information, even if it's by like providing you a severance package so you disclose it as you leave.
No, sorry to interrupt you, Shauna, but harken back to the days of
Working with all of us.
yeah. Let's start with that. Way back when you had an issue at your help desk and you had to come to one of the team when the 3 of us were working together. What were your kind of pet peeves about having to come to us for issues?
A lot of like, oh, don't you know this by now? Or anything like that, or like things that you guys have gone to school for, and I was like still just learning, and it was like, you're asking me a question, you are inconveniencing my day. And I wouldn't say that it was you guys in particular who did that, but that was a lot of more like, oh, well, I don't want to go and ask them questions then because I'm clearly an inconvenience, or I'm too stupid to know this answer, and that kind of can weigh on people. I think that got better throughout some of the hands changing over there, and kind of how we all grew, and obviously going to school helped. But kind of like starting off right out the gate, like when I was in like data management, and then asking like, oh, what does this do? And then it just kind of like, do I have to explain this to you? You know what I mean?
Right. So, and then when at your next company, was it the same there? And if it was different, was it because you were growing and you were better prepared to ask those questions? or were the people you worked with a little different? Because
I
I
think it's-
suspect that you were like better at asking the questions and you were less afraid to ask the questions.
Yeah, I definitely grew in the sense of like, I need an answer and you're going to tell it to me. Was kind of the attitude that I went with. It did help, growing in the roles, having the help desk under my belt already, and then definitely the people that I worked with at the next company were more open. We're more like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Let me show you. I get to teach you something. And they viewed it as more of like an opportunity, like how you guys typically were with me, in the sense of, oh, we're doing this networking change. Let me show you how cool this is, and kind of teaching me in that way. Whereas, of course, we also had the information hoarder there that would just be disgusted whenever you asked him questions. But overall, at the next company, it wasn't nearly as bad.
Okay.
And I'll take some ownership in that. It took me a little bit to kind of grow my own voice and be able to be like, no, you're going to answer me, and I'm going to stand here until you answer me, and kind of moving along that way.
Well, that's kind of an important lesson for anyone in probably any industry, is standing up for yourself and demanding those answers when you're owed them.
I like that phrase that you used, to grow your own voice. I like how you said that.
Thank you.
That's pretty good.
And now I get to, kind of have those same conversations where people can come at me sideways, and I've learned how to interact with customers, and I've learned how to interact with people, and just be like, look, this is a situation. This is how it's going to be. We can either do this the easy way or the hard way, and it's up to you. And just kind of, I will handle however you dish it out to me, but this is how I'm going to reply.
Wow.
Sure.
I'm glad I don't work with you anymore.
Right. You wouldn't like it.
Can you imagine the amount of work we'd have to do if we worked with her still?
Right? We'd have accountability and shit.
Yeah.
Again, it's brought me this nice kind of full circle moment. Like even today, I happen to be taking phone calls. We were a little short staffed. The call queues kind of blew up a little bit, so I got on the phones, as one does. And somebody going like, oh, well, can I get this to somebody higher up or anything like that? And I get to be like, oh, well, I'm the manager over the help desk, so I'd be happy to help you out to get this resolved. And I'm being like, oh, okay. And then, the tune changes. And it's a full circle moment for me.
Nice.
Right. That old, well, clearly you can't possibly know what's going on because you're on the phone with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frankie, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm thinking back at stories of when I first started in IT. I started with, as I mentioned, my first job out of school was a small consulting company that decided to turn up a managed services offering. So I was one of the first members of their brand new help desk. There was 3 of us, with the fourth guy being a level 2. Some of the biggest challenges I remember were, Shauna kind of touched on this, like escalation and getting the engineer to own it. So there's a fine line maybe where when you're escalating a ticket of like teaching the fish and paying it forward, having that engineer, Grendel mentioned it, the senior remote vice president helped him fix an issue, but sometimes there's things that the company's dark, we need to escalate this right away. I remember that was a lot of challenges of getting the engineer to take ownership when it's like a high priority issue, when there's really no time to, teach me how to fish after we resolve this outage.
Right. Not necessarily the time to say, well, have you dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's?
Let me Google that for you.
Yep. Those are character building events though. Handling difficult customers, frustrated customers. I didn't really have somebody to escalate that up the tier. And, these topics that I'm touching on might've been cultural things, help desk, managed services 10 years ago. And so having to deal with those tough customers on the call and not being able to hand it off to a team leader or manager was difficult. But again, character building, created invaluable skills that I use to this day. So there's some pros and there's a silver lining there. Yeah, taking ownership. And then I moved on to an established managed services company, a Fortune 100 company that was had an established technology teams that you could escalate to. That role turned into it was a network operations role. We were given a run book where what we were allowed to run and what we weren't allowed, and had escalated in a reasonable time. So that was kind of jumping to the other end of the spectrum. And that we got to learn stuff from the run book. We got to learn stuff from the level 2s. But when we escalated up to the level 3s, they just took the issue, and we didn't get to get any follow up. We didn't get to hear how it was resolved unless we went and hunted inside of ServiceNow for our ticketing software for the resolution later. But it was a fast paced job. So, that one wasn't as rewarding because I didn't get to see things through.
I can see where that would be frustrating. You don't get to see the end result of your work. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's understandable.
yeah.
Right. I mean, that's like dealing with Microsoft.
Yeah. So,
Hey, what was broken? Something. Have a nice day.
Bye now. Thank you. Good again.
the first position I mentioned I think I was there for 3.5 years. My second position, I think another 3.5 years. And then my third position, I moved into the consulting role. So that was my first, like a junior infrastructure role. And that's the company that I worked with, worked with mergers and acquisitions. And my job was to come in and we had a 6-month TSA, technical service agreement, where maybe the selling company would provide IT for that 6 months. And then we had to get them carved out and separated. So I had to, the challenges that Shauna mentioned is the hoarding of the knowledge. There was usually somebody in there that had been there 10, 20 years that wasn't letting go, so I had to twist some arms and work some magic to get some documentation on legacy applications and kind of come up with a migration plan on what we're going to do. Is there vendor support? Or are we going to migrate into something new while we're making this? So
yeah, those are rough things to do, right? Like you're coming in, people can see the writing on the wall, and there's basically nothing compelling them to share information.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're trying to make something out of nothing, and it's not your fault, right? Like you're just making a buck like they are. Just so happens that you're going to keep making a buck, and they're going to have to find a new place to do it.
Or not. A lot of people get
or
scared
not.
about that kind of stuff, and they're really, their jobs aren't at risk, but the paranoia runs so high in situations like that. And I shouldn't say paranoia because there's just anxiety and whatever in a situation like that will push people over the edge and cause them to act in unreasonable ways that they normally wouldn't act.
Right. Which is unfortunate because it's that very behavior that increases the likelihood that you're going to be the person that gets let go.
Yeah.
And one thing too, that if I learned anything over COVID, was don't ever think that oh, it's not going to affect you. All these other people are going down, but I'm going to be fine, because chances are, as soon as you get that mindset, you are suddenly not fine. And then Grundle's paying all the bills.
Right. Yeah. There's no such thing as someone who's irreplaceable.
No.
I think we've all been had a moment in our career where we thought that might be true, and we probably have been disabused of that notion. Which is
with very little elegance.
Yes. Yes. And unfortunately, there are times though when we know that we are replaceable and absolutely replaceable, but we should not have been.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think Brian can speak to that. I mean, so yeah.
I mean, they had an outage before I made it home because of the new people that took over as an MSP. So that's all the validation I needed.
Yeah.
If they took down every single store in one fell swoop, minutes after they had the keys, you know what? That gave me a warm and fuzzy.
I am fulfilled.
I am fulfilled. Well, and 24 hours later, I had a job making twice as much.
There you go.
So, I mean, in almost they did me a favor.
Indeed.
I wasn't leaving because I wasn't done. I still had a list of things I wanted to get accomplished in that environment, and I wasn't done with that list.
Yeah.
So I was staying despite the fact that I probably shouldn't be there anymore.
Right. I was unemployed for 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
When I left. So.
Yep. Yeah, there were some choices made at that location, and yep, good for the people
Whatever.
that they happen to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have any resentment, any ill will. They did me a
No.
huge favor.
And
They did something for me I was unwilling to do for myself.
and they've only had to rebrand like twice after we all left. So
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly this was
clearly
the
they're doing
issue.
fine.
Yeah. You're not happy and we're not happy, so we're gonna make one of us happy. So
Yeah. Don't get me started on the rebrand. The most
Anyway.
recent.
Jesse, what do you have to add for all this happiness?
I don't know. Usually I got something. I think we probably lose like a lot of the little nuances in like basic desktop support. Like if you put me at like a level 1 help desk, like desktop support, I'd probably have to like rewrite my brain, you know, like the little nuances of Windows that are today that I may never experience, you know,
Right.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Like
we
how
haven't
to get
kept up
somebody
with
into
it. It's not
how to
relevant.
get somebody into control panel. in,
Yeah,
like,
the
3
little
seconds
things
or
like
less.
that,
Oh,
you know.
Yeah, because they hide it somewhere different every 6 months.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have younger guys like Frankie around that still keep track of those tricks.
You
I
can
learned,
still
like-
hit the Windows key and type control and it'll show up. So
I learned like 3 new things like last week from Frankie. He doesn't know it. I'm pretty good at hiding my embarrassment, but you know.
to your point, Jesse, just today, I needed to add suffix search orders, you know, a couple of domains in the list of suffix search orders. And in Windows 11, it's you can't get there from here. And I actually had to Google it and find out. And funny enough, you have to go into control panel and get at it that way.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah, network interface settings in 11, well, and even 10, they got hard to find. 11, they buried them even deeper.
yeah.
It's like, no, I need to change that stuff on a regular basis, and I always forget where it is now.
I think it's
Yeah.
the run command system CTL snap
System
in.
CPL or
CPL, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll bring it up. Yeah.
control panel, and then the network stuff in control panel. That's
Yeah.
the Google directions that I got.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I think one of the things that came up not too long ago, it came up twice because people are so forgetful, is a lot of the things that we know may never make it down to like that help desk level. Is like we all know in our hearts, and we tell users, well, restart your computer every day, right? Like restart your computer every day.
yeah.
Now, if I'm a user and I go at the end of the day, it's 5 o'clock, and I go to what formerly is known as the start menu, and I go to power, and I go to power off, and then the next morning I come in and I hit the power button on my laptop or whatever. I log in, and in good faith, I thought that I had restarted my computer at night.
No, you just suspended it.
That is not true. You just suspended your computer.
That's all you're doing.
Yes.
I've been a lot of issues with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually.
Yes.
One thing,
Yeah.
that's the one thing that I do butt heads with our networking guys about. Whenever I'll come up with a problem, my computer's not doing this or this isn't working, and I'm just, go straight to them, like, what is wrong with my computer? Fix it. And the first thing he always asks me is like, when was the last time you rebooted? And all I reply with is, I am but a typical end user.
Yeah.
It was probably 3 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get yelled
Now-
at every time.
I will readily admit
Yep.
that I just sleep my computer, both personal and professional, most of the time. Like I reboot when I have to do Windows updates.
Yeah.
And an application that can't survive that today is an application that I don't want.
Right. Right.
I would give exception to like us being like even beyond the power user. We know when shit's fucked. Like
Yeah.
maybe I should reboot my computer here.
Right.
But that's why we preach it to the
Yeah, don't get me
unwashed
wrong.
mass.
I
The
don't-
reason I don't
population.
want to reboot is my own bad habits. I have
Right.
10,000 Chrome tabs open over 6 different profiles.
And I know that
But that's
there's
just what I have to do my job.
Right.
same.
We all have. We're making enough money now where we can have 32 to 64 gig of memory in our machine.
Oh yeah, I've got
We can cover all those
128.
open windows. Yeah.
Chrome go wild.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing
No.
too with like being on the help desk, all the applications that you have to run. Like the average person on the help desk at my company has 3 to 5 clients. That's 3 to 5
Yep.
Citrix profiles, each one running Epic.
Oh, yeah.
It's bound to be a disaster.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so you run into some of the same things I have to I run into as a consultant. It's different VPN clients. It's different Citrix or Horizon or whatever VDI software they're using. I've recently started doing this. I'm standing up a VM for each customer now with everything I need for that customer, which is a pain in the butt, but trying to keep everything separate, especially with like Outlook profiles or even if you're doing it in the browser, like 100% in the browser, you have to have a different Chrome profile or they're going to step all over each other, especially if you have like SSO with Horizon or Citrix. Everything is going to get so twisted up. Nothing is ever going to work properly. It's definitely not going to work like anybody else's. So, yeah, it's definitely a struggle.
Wow.
It's a good idea. The virtual machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The
not
only
great,
trouble with
but
that is you put your neck out a little bit as far as licensing is concerned because you got to buy all those Windows licenses.
yeah, you can get them for like $20 a pop, gray market. I sleep like a baby getting gray market licensing.
Fair enough.
Things you can get away with when you are an independent consultant.
Yeah.
You know, if they can sell it to Thailand for $20, they can sell it to me for $20 when I have to buy half a dozen of them.
It's the same
For me.
license. It's the same.
Yeah, it's like I'm doing it to get rid of the annoying nag thing. I'm not doing it because I want to give you the money. I've already paid for Windows.
Yeah.
I'm paying for the inconvenience or to remove the annoyance at this point. But I'm not giving you $300.
No.
That's ridiculous.
No.
And keep in mind, I have no moral qualms or ethical qualms about what you're doing. Like, they got their money.
Well, and
I'm just saying,
Microsoft
like, you
makes
come in.
basically
Billions.
no money off of Windows anyways. They make it all off of Office basically and server
don't
products.
listen to
Nightmare
them.
in itself.
Yeah, and all that stuff's paid for like 10 times over.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've got 365 licensing for basically every single client that uses it. Well, yeah, every single client that uses it. Sometimes for multiple accounts. So I'm licensed to the gills.
There you go.
They got their money from me. I mean, not from me. But
Chris,
on my
what do you
behalf.
want to add to what we forgot about just topic and just. I'm trying to keep us on track today, Brian. I'm doing my best.
Good
Right.
man. I can't do it.
I'm thinking back to early in my career, and like I had the benefit of some really great senior engineers that I worked with that were totally willing to share knowledge.
I'm glad I was there to
and-
help, Chris.
Oh God.
Absolutely. Couldn't have done it without you. Yeah, I mean, and they struck the balance between letting you work through problems yourself, and providing you useful insight, which didn't always feel great, but I never felt like I was twisting in the wind. At least in the first 2 years of my career. And then I started in on a series of events where I ended up being the senior or only person in an environment. And I keep finding myself in these things like, oh, I'm the last person that they're going to talk to
The last man
before
standing. Yeah.
you have to open a vendor case, or you're going to go find a really expensive consultant somewhere. So yeah, I think that's the thing that I would say is make sure as a senior you are being as collaborative and as forthcoming as you can be.
Yeah.
Right. And even beyond the point of Grendel mentioned the guys are like, hey, yeah, I'm going to fix it. You want to watch? Right. I think you take that a step further. And as soon as you're doing something that you're pretty sure somebody hasn't seen before, or maybe has only seen once or twice, you say, hey, I'm going to do a thing. Do you want to watch?
Yeah.
Right. And you do your best to disseminate that knowledge as broadly, quickly, and frequently as you can.
Yeah.
It helped me get started. And I think people like it when I do it. They probably just tell me that.
I would beg people at my last place, do you want to see how to do this? Would you like to learn how to do this? And only 1 or 2 people would actually step up and actually try to do it, like switch configs and things like that.
That's about par.
As Sean and Brian know, I didn't have time for a lot of things, and I mean, trying to push that information down. So,
right.
If I may, I'll throw my 2 cents in. I remember when I was starting out, how hard it was sometimes to get information from the senior people.
1 second.
Yes, sir.
Inflation. Based on inflation, that's at least a quarter.
Another old guy joke. That's awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
So and it was real difficult getting real information from, I can't tell you how many times I've been told to go buy a book. Right. And I would go, all right, I guess I should be going to buy books, and I would read those books. I've actually, one of the few people that I know that actually read DNS and Buying. I've read that cover to cover. I had to use a lot of Visine to keep my eyes lubricated because it's a dry read. But I've read them, and I've read a lot of the Microsoft books, and and all that. But still, being having to just claw my way into a position to where people would even talk to me was really, really frustrating. And there for a little while, I found myself doing the same thing and was invited to pull my head out by somebody that needed to tell me that. And yeah, that helps. But I can see where you guys, Shauna, Grendel, and Frankie, I don't know if you suffer from this anymore, but trying to get knowledge from somebody who, well, I learned it, you have to. You know what I mean? So
And there's one thing that goes up completely across the board when it comes to whether you're trying to learn something from the help desk role about a specific application or your job role as a whole. For instance, we merged with a company about a year ago, and I have a new boss and everything's good, and they moved me into the CSM role, and now they're looking at adding some more job duties for a specific client, right? And I asked, when these job duties get determined in the statement of work, can you give it to me so I have a list of exactly what I'm in charge of? Like, I want to know what you expect of me. And my boss went, oh, you don't want to guess anymore? No, no, I do not. I don't want to fight for it. I don't want to guess. I need somebody to tell me what's going on.
You shouldn't even have to ask.
No, you shouldn't.
Well,
Yeah.
there's problem number one. So
Yeah.
I'm real good at guessing, let me tell you.
And I kind of think that's a problem of smaller companies, right? Where a lot of people wear a lot of different hats and nobody's really sure what they're supposed to do. So everybody just kind of pitches in and gets everything done, right? And I've seen that at countless smaller companies.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
and you start to get up to like the place where the three of us were at one point, things got quite siloed there for a while. Right, everybody, Chris, you were the Windows guy, Brian was the network guy, and I was the back end infrastructure, VMware, and storage guy, and there wasn't enough collaboration, and it was involuntary knowledge hoarding.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, that is something that management can can create or fix, right?
Mhm.
Like, if you have people as leadership pigeonholed into things, it can make it really hard to branch out and collaborate. And maybe when we have that conversation with an exec about the reason that they hate us, we can give them theirs back and be like, you can hate us all you want, but maybe you should provide us a little time to make sure we're not siloed.
right.
Make sure that someday I can take a vacation. Because there's nothing worse than like being the guy through no fault of your own, right? Like you want to give the information out, you want to let people collaborate, but for whatever reason, prioritization or what have you, you're not allowed to. And at that point, like, on the one hand, if you're knowledge hoarding, if you've made yourself the guy and you've done nothing to fix that problem, yeah, you deserve to get the call on
Yep,
vacation.
you sure do.
But like,
Mhm.
if you've done everything you can to like spread that knowledge around, but you haven't been given the chance to do so, then it's perfectly fine to turn that ringer off on vacation too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fight
Which
for
you should be
yourself.
able to do.
Yeah, you should be able
Right.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's maybe my PSA for today. Like, if you're in an org where there's people that have information that only they have, it should be everybody on that IT team's mission to make that not true. That person should be able to get sick, go on vacation, get married, get divorced, whatever, and not have to take a call for at least a week, maybe 3.
So one of my people went to Spain she took off a week and a half. And unfortunately, she is the only one in the company that knows what she does. And that was a rough week and a half, I'll tell you. And I'm trying really, really hard to spread that knowledge around. And I've got her now making documentation. And so we know how to do things, so that's, you're making an excellent point, Chris.
Right. I mean, I have personal experience with at least 3-4 people on this call doing that kind of work, and doing it well. So kudos.
Hey, let's flip.
I am not one of them, by the way.
You're not one of them? No.
If only I practiced what I preached a little better.
Well, I don't know. From my experience and my memory, you're very, very good at documentation. So almost to the point of being overly documented.
That can be true. I've solved that problem, Rick.
Oh, you have?
By going.
He just doesn't do documentation.
Right.
I remember one of my first conversations where she was like, "Hey, let's do this."
Yeah.
So, full disclosure, I was married. I'm on my second marriage. My lovely wife and mother of my children is the partner that I needed to go through other things to be ready for. But when I was having what ultimately ended up being a pretty amicable divorce, I wrote most of the paperwork, and I believe my ex said to me, "Has anybody ever told you that you're overly detailed?" I'm like, and I looked at her. I'm like, "We've been together for 8 years. Are you really just discovering that now?" And she looked at me. She's like, "No, no." But yeah, I can be verbose.
That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, there's a little bit wrong with that, but that's okay. So why don't we flip this around a little bit, Brian and Chris, if that's okay with you guys, and say, okay,
Absolutely.
let's talk to the senior guys and say, okay, what is it that frustrates us about the junior level
I'll be
people?
back.
And
Okay.
let's find out, I mean, is it reasonable for us to feel this way? Because I think a lot of times we do feel that way, and I don't think it's necessarily reasonable. What do you think, Brian?
Oh, sure.
I could take this one. There's a couple things that I want to bolt on from Shauna and Grendel, what they mentioned. So teaching somebody to fish, that and on top of that, documentation as well. I feel like there's been a lot of change in my career on the culture around documentation. It's more readily available. There's OneNote, it's just easier. It's not buried in a plain text document with passwords, So I'm a big advocate of OneNote, or any sort of documentation of your personal OneNote. I am not the smartest guy in the room, but I'll trick you because I'm taking meeting notes, even though we got a project manager on the call taking their meeting notes. I'm taking my own. Maybe these are habits from consulting, but so documentation is huge and I think you could really help yourself out as a junior, somebody working, if somebody takes the time to show you how to teach you how to fish, write it down. You may not remember it first go about, but after you do those Cisco commands a handful of times, they'll burn in your brain. You'll remember it. And it also just sends up the signal to the senior engineer that is teaching you is, I want to learn. I want to progress out of the help desk and I want to be an infrastructure engineer. It just lets them know. And as a senior engineer, when I see somebody enthusiastic to learn, I'm going to take more time to teach them how to fish. But if I don't get a great vibe from somebody, if I offer them, if it seems like it's an inconvenience for them, I may not offer the next time. So I think taking the initiative like that, as somebody wanting desperately to get out of the help desk when I was there, I made it very clear that I want to learn. And now that I'm on an infrastructure engineer and I'm paying that forward, I really look for that stuff. And it motivates me to pay it forward when I see that.
To me, there's nothing more frustrating, or there's very few things more frustrating than having a person come to me and ask me the same question.
Yeah.
Multiple times. You just asked me about that with so-and-so last week, and now you're coming to me again with a different person, but it's the same issue and you're asking me again.
Yep.
But the issue is that frustrates me to no end.
And if we're taking the time to do a one-on-one knowledge transfer, we should just take a little bit more time to write it down and turn it into a KB. Then I don't have to, if that engineer that I trained moves on and then there's a new face there, then I'm back doing a one-on-one with the new face, the new associate. So that's where I like to complement that with a document.
Anything to add, Jesse?
While you're thinking, I want to say something about OneNote. Be careful because it turns into a dumping ground way too often.
Yeah.
Almost as important as the content in your documentation is how it's organized.
Agreed.
So a OneNote that's just a blob of every word that's ever been spoken in your cube is of zero value. So organization, I prefer more of like a wiki type format, but you can basically replicate that in OneNote if you're well organized.
Mhm.
So yeah, organization.
Yeah,
I
my one.
But
absolutely love my OneNote, but the one that goes to the agents that I've typed up the documentation for them is like meticulously organized so anybody can look at it, because not everybody can look at my mess, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do enjoy OneNote. I do also support like public facing wiki documents. You know, I try and keep a cadence where I'll reorganize my OneNote once something, you know, once a year, once a month, once a quarter, something like that, rather than once a never. I like that. Notepad is also another really
I
yeah.
heavily used tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Heavily
tons
abused
and
on
tons.
my part.
I have tons and tons of little text documents that,
Hold
that
on.
have little, you know, here's what I do for here. There's, you know, networking examples and this and switch config example for this and what I want to do. And
Yeah.
I just open them up in Notepad and I save them with a name, and I've got this big bucket of text files. Probably not the best format and not the best way of doing it, but it
And there's nothing wrong
My
with
my Notepad plus right now, 108 unsaved tabs.
that. Yeah, close that down.
So
this coming from the guy that was just not even 2 minutes ago preaching organization.
Yeah,
Yep. That's a
this
third of
is
the RAM
for
right there.
me.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and now, so keep in mind that this is just the one on my regular PC. I still have my laptop. I still have VMs. I still have VDIs, all with all with Notepad++, all with
All with their own
all with their own tabs. Because trust me, I've tried. There's no convenient way to share those and have them actually work.
But the beautiful thing about Notepad++ is if you just quit,
Yeah,
it
opens all right back up.
All that. It just remembers.
Yep, that's a blessing and a curse.
Oh gosh.
I remember when they first implemented that. It was probably 4 years ago, maybe 5.
Oh, it's been longer.
Because before then, it would make you save everyone, and then all of a sudden they made it so you didn't have to save everyone. So I never saved another thing again.
Clearly, because you have 108 tabs open in Notepad++.
See, if Chrome could be as smart as Notepad++, the whole reboot thing wouldn't even be an issue.
Oh, you'd have 6,000 tabs open.
It pretends it's going to open your tabs again for you, but it will open the tabs from one window in one profile. The rest could just fuck right off.
I don't know.
Same thing with like an update for Chrome. We can restore your tabs.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Well, it just refreshes them when you click on the tab.
Yeah, so nothing really opens, especially if you're logged into something. Because
I don't know who said it was, Frankie or someone was saying, you know, how you tell someone multiple times the same thing over and over. You know, as you become more senior or whatever, higher up, you know, you also have to become a better teacher too.
Yes.
You know, you have to have patience, and you got to kind of know who you're talking to, because everybody's different, right? You can't have the same message for everybody. You know, some people will ask you a billion questions, and some people you have to give like a half of a roadmap, and here, go as far as you can, come back when you get stuck.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So, you know, how to communicate the best along the way.
If your help desk isn't half as smart as you are, it's a failure on your part. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Basically, yeah. Basically, yeah.
So, and I shouldn't use that phrase, because I mean, people on the
half as knowledgeable.
They're very smart. They're very capable of learning and whatever. So smart has nothing to do with it. But yeah,
knowledgeable is a better word.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like the lunch and learn style, where you pick somebody picks a topic, or a topic comes up during the week where everybody seems interested in, and you slice out an hour where you talk about the thing. And it's an open forum. You just kind of just go with it. And I think there's a lot of value in that, those types of things.
Yeah, we should do more of those.
Those are I like.
I got a whole bank of them.
So I actually like those even more when it's adversarial. Like, no, I mean, seriously, challenge me to justify my positions, because sometimes
yes,
I'll change my mind if somebody
agreed
brings a really good question to the table.
Right.
Yeah.
One
I
thing
mean,
that made me think of is, oh, sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to.
Oh no, go ahead. Keep going.
What that reminds me of is we used to have those again at that place where we were all together. We used to have these like little group powwows, and they're like, let's show you all how to do this. And if done well, they're very good and very helpful. But if done poorly, along the lines of, we're going to role play a call and you're going to do it in front of everybody, and then I'm going to scold you on how you did it wrong, things like that, is something that you want to lean away from. So they're good as long as they're done well, but a poor manager doing it in a poor style is going to lead to a poor outcome.
You
can't berate people.
Confidence, right? So that's just the wrong way of doing things, right? So
it doesn't matter how bad someone fucked up. It doesn't matter what they did. When you start publicly berating people, it's game over. I don't care how bad you fucked up. That's a
management failure.
That is a management failure, and
it does not matter how bad you messed up or how screwed up a decision you made. Do not publicly berate people in front of their peers, in front of their supervisors, in front of their subordinates. Just don't do that. You can't. You will lose people so fast they'll make your head spin.
Yeah, there's nothing to be gained from it.
No,
you're not winning.
Yeah, right.
It's more of an ego boost for that person of like, oh, I feel better because I made you feel bad. Like that seems like more of an internal problem that needs to be addressed, and you're just kind of promoting it to everybody else.
You can't do that. It just doesn't.
It's not
benefit anybody. It's not productive. Yeah.
Any management class that you'll go to, that one of the very first things that they're going to say is praise in public, criticize in private, or correct in confidence. However.
Yeah, and if you want to beat someone up, you know what? If you want to kick my ass because I fucked up, one-on-one, I'm going to appreciate that a whole lot more.
I have never ever shied away from an ass kicking when I deserved it.
Exactly. Right? Yes.
Yes. And that's why you have no ass.
And I've deserved many ass kickings in my day. Yes.
Yeah, I've had a few. Yeah. So a couple from Mr. Brian Ether.
Well,
I had them coming, right?
It happens.
There was a learning opportunity that needed to take place right there. So yeah. There you go. Grendel, you've been pretty quiet.
I think that the reason I'm quiet is the atmospheres that you guys have been talking about is very different than the structure that I have seen and that I've had to deal with. I'm not sure what that
you've lucked out.
You did. Yeah.
You've lucked out. Your next job will suck more.
I'm sure it will. But also at the same time, you guys are talking. Frankie talked about some of the smaller companies. You guys have talked about more tight knit things that have been siloed. I stepped into the door of a global company that has multiple main offices. I mean, the main office that I work under is over in England. The parent company's main office is in Japan. It's in like 100 countries. And it's truly massive. So there's already been in place very strict tiers of how things escalate through. So kind of like what you guys are talking about, like if you have had people come to you to ask for learning structures from the help desk side of things, like at where I'm working, that would never happen just because there is a bar of you don't go past here. You can learn some of this stuff right above you, but you guys are a couple levels up there. And there's really not too much. Like when we go to a point of escalation, so the example I used before with the regional vice president, that went up that far because it had already gone through the 3 levels below him. And now it was a point of this contract is at crisis right now. This needs to be fixed. And this man has the power to do it. We don't really interact with like senior networking engineers or anything like that at the company I work with. So I just don't really have much to add to the conversation at that point.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's not necessarily a good thing either. So, in the context of where we're all at. But hey, man, if it's paying the bills and you like what you're doing, rock
yeah.
on.
Keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't listen to Jesse and anything that he says.
That's good advice.
That's all.
I have one good. Well, I don't even know if it's a good thing because it's happened. It hasn't happened once. It's happened like twice, but it was from the same person. It was from a former intern. I don't remember his name anymore. He would ask an excellent on-topic question, but had no interest whatsoever in what the answer was. He was asking the question to be observed asking the question. He didn't give a flying fuck about what the answer was.
Was this?
So I'd start talking. What's that?
Was that with me, you, Chris? And...
Yes. I don't even remember what his name was. But
he
he would ask a really good question, and then just you could see his eyes like roll back in his head because he was checked out as soon as you started answering it.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Did I
It
know
was
who you were
him.
talking about or what?
God.
And he was a nice guy, but he did that to me twice. It's like, nope, you're dead to me now. I'm not even gonna acknowledge your existence because you wasted my time. You're not serious about this. I'm sorry. I am more than happy to go above and beyond. I'll spend all kinds of time trying to help somebody out. But if you're just gonna do
Say
that
to
right to my face,
Yeah.
what's that?
He said it to be seen.
Yes, exactly.
Was he the kid that wore polo shirts that he would button all the way to the collar?
You were just looking in the reflection.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah.
We had a nickname for him. And I can't remember who.
I don't.
Possibly. He was an intern when I was an intern when we did the
No,
credit
Rick.
card rollout.
That wasn't the one you
Okay.
were thinking of.
Sounds
the one
about
you were
right.
thinking of was he was the one that looked like he might be smart but wasn't.
Yeah.
Need more information to go on.
That's all.
No,
done
I
myself.
I know exactly who Rick's talking about. It was not the other guy that Brian
Okay.
was talking about.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm once Shauna, we have a little private chat. Once Shauna put the name in the chat, I'm pretty sure that's who it was. But he wasn't memorable enough to even remember his name. But as soon as I saw it,
You know, the only reason I could think of it like that is I was just going through like Facebook memories or whatever, and there was a picture of like all of us interns, like, yay, internship, and I
Yep.
just saw it like within the past week.
okay, yeah, because did you see him doing that with other people too? Just like
Because he wanted, I think there was a lot of like also you would do work and he would like kind of sort of brush against the work you did and then would go to the boss and be like, oh, we got this done. He was the same one who did that.
oh
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think worked his full internship. He like, I don't know, fucked off. I don't know what he did.
no, yeah, I don't remember.
We went through a lot of interns.
Wasn't memorable enough, but he got two chances, and no one else is ever going to get two chances because of him.
And that was a learning experience for you.
It was a learning experience for me. So
I remember that guy. He thought he was a Linux god. He really thought he was something.
I do believe that you are on the right path
Yeah.
now. Yes.
But then there was
oh yeah, well,
yeah.
She had the enthusiasm.
just not the
Technical.
gray matter.
Yeah, the elevator didn't go all the way to the top floor there. Yeah.
Which is not everybody needs to have a IQ above room temperature. That's fine. She was very nice. She was very sweet.
Yes. Yes, she was a nice
Just
lady.
didn't belong in IT.
No.
That's all there is to it. She was probably an excellent wife and mother.
Yes.
She
was there when you first started, Chris.
Yo, yes.
Yeah.
Chris
Yeah.
is like, I know.
Wow.
I had a conversation or two with her, if you can call it that. She was yeah, I mean, you get to encounter all kinds of people over the course of your career, and every once in a while you encounter one that wants to be in IT, but because like they've heard it's good money, but has just no business.
Yeah, they listened to Justin.
The tech skills.
Yeah,
Justin from Tech Skills.
Yep.
They're giving away an Xbox and they're having a pizza party. Yeah, if that's why you got into IT, there's a 95% chance you suck. I'm sorry.
Brian, how I've missed you.
Well, I missed you too.
Well, you guys got to come on the show more often.
We could probably
We typically do Tuesdays, don't we? I think we did
Yeah,
tonight because we needed a little time.
yeah, trying to arrange people and
Yeah.
yeah, that's just how it worked out.
Yeah, and I've been on the show 3 weeks in a row now, so I'm
Yeah.
on behalf
I'm
of
old
the
school.
Corget family, I do apologize to you all.
Yeah, no, he's good. Give him something to do. Keeps him out of trouble.
yeah.
Off the
Let's
street,
keep the
you
old
know.
guy entertained so he doesn't
Yeah.
do something stupid.
And honestly, anybody at any level of IT would actually be beneficial to the show, even somebody at Rick's level.
That's really generous, you Brian,
I love you.
indicating that Rick's still in IT.
Yeah, well, now he's an IT wrangler, kind of.
Yeah.
Nah, he's doing good. He's learned a bunch of stuff over the last few years.
I've learned humility. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Well, that's an important lesson to learn.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Do you want to stick it out? Come here.
He already jumped up once.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
The dog is just boofing at me, and I don't know what he wants.
no.
Food?
No, he's got food. We got Fatty over there laying down guarding the food bowl.
She likes to eat out of it while she lays down.
Yeah, she just lays down and puts her head in it and just kind of eats like sideways.
Jeez.
She's my fat dog. What can I say?
Oh,
Living
my
her best
dog
life.
disappeared on me.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah. Ooh, Simo.
Well,
Well,
what's your beverage of choice tonight? We have to get through that. So Brian,
Oh
what's-
yeah, that's good point.
oh, Chris is asleep. I was drinking Eagle Rare.
Sorry, I'm not asleep. I'm
just
chatting
dozing
with
off,
somebody.
yeah.
Just resting my eyes.
Yeah,
I was
resting
checking
my
my
eyes.
eyelids for holes.
It's been a weird day.
It's been a weird
and
week.
It's not done yet. So you all are like my lunch break.
And you are a lunch break too, whatever
Yeah.
that means.
Yeah, you're my
A
lunch
full
break.
snack.
Yeah.
That's
You are
that's
my
a new
mid-afternoon
romantic
snack,
comedy
Chris.
that's going to be coming out soon. You're my lunch.
Nice.
Um,
But
Jesse, what are you drinking tonight? Since nobody else wants to share.
Oh, I slightly different today. South of the border, I'm Modelo.
Modelo.
Yes, so I drank it over. I camped all this past weekend, so I was like, oh, change something a little more refreshing since the weather's gonna be nice and hot, and so
What are you imbibing in, Chris?
I
It's the red
started
label.
with the White Walker from Johnny Walker,
Ooh.
which is awful enough that it's scotch that needs ice to be palatable. It's not even good for mixing. I tried, and then I moved on to a little
Tainted.
Irish cream, and now I'm drinking a Killing's Irish Red.
Excellent.
Excellent choice.
Good enough.
Yeah, this is my desert island beer. So
There you go. I decided to go with a vintage A&W.
Oh, fancy.
So
What is this?
Cold water.
Ooh, ice water.
excellent.
Yeah, it's getting hot in my office. There's no ventilation.
Because I saw.
And if I turn on the
that-
fan, everyone will hear it.
Yeah, I saw that you were drinking something in a Glencairn.
Yeah, that was the Eagle Rare.
Nice.
I just had a little sip of that.
I've been
But
slowing
that's just
down.
the squirt and water.
Yeah, I've been slowing down on the consumption of the Eagle Rare because I only have one more full bottle left, and I don't know when and where I'm going to get another one. So
I just recently, as of like last weekend, realized I still had some. Had half an open bottle stashed in the back, and then
oh really?
I think I still have a full bottle that you had given me. So
Really, I might have to come get that back.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I've been trying to keep it cheap and more water than booze.
There you go. There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, let me share our recent absolute obsession that we spend too much money on.
Yeah.
Our non-alcoholic Celsius, they're energy drinks, but
Okay.
they're like sparkling. 300 milligrams of caffeine per can.
200.
Holy shit.
hey, if you're going to replace one addiction with another, you may as well
Might as
replace
well
it with
be-
a caffeine addiction.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm good.
That-
I'm covered.
Yep.
That much caffeine
There
would
you
make,
go.
that much caffeine would make me levitate off the ground.
That's an interesting power.
We've got to get you.
I've seen Frankie with a half a glass of Mountain Dew on board,
Yeah.
and the guy, like, yeah, he'd be floating,
Oh.
Wow.
like from
See, I
ground
start every
effect.
morning with a triple espresso, so
Oh God, get
300
everything.
milligrams. That's that's enough to get me non-comatose.
Yeah. I drink the what is that? The 20 ounce. Yeah, that size Yetis. 3 of those every day. 3 big coffee mugs every day.
Yeah.
So, Shauna,
Now-
we
now
got to
that I
get
got-
you a better camera.
Yeah, this camera was liberated from
Acquired.
acquired from a past location.
Okay.
So it's the one I have.
All right.
Granted, the fan
I mean-
and the dining room light isn't exactly the
Come
best.
on, is her camera worse than mine?
Yes.
Slightly.
The lighting is worse. The camera's
Yeah,
probably
their lighting is
similar.
We even had this little ring light. Brendan's mom got me this cute little selfie light or whatever, but it has a timer on it, so it kept turning off.
No.
I can teach you how to do your lighting
Oh,
properly.
that's almost worse.
No, please no.
That's
Using,
very
uh,
blue.
That double chin, I know.
Milwaukee Tool shop lighting for my
Oh, there you go.
Hmm.
So
ancillary.
here's what I'll tell you: if you have LED light bulbs and like Sendix bags, which are always brown,
Hmm.
you can do excellent amber light
Oh,
Yeah.
because the LED won't burn through the plastic, and like it's cheaper than buying gel. And I am a dirt cheap cheapskate. Like copper wire was invented when Rick and I fought over a penny.
That's right. Chris, I love you.
Thanks,
brother.
man. Cheers.
Yeah. See me, I have a nice ring light and a nice camera. It's only for my OnlyFans. I don't have any fans, but it's only for my OnlyFans.
I'll be fair, and that's what
Hey,
counts.
Yeah.
hey. Just
Well,
because I
if you
don't
only
pay
have
doesn't mean I'm
fans,
not a fan.
Brian,
Yeah.
That's what it is. If I only had fans.
Yeah.
If I only had fans.
Yeah. Only $3 a month for pictures of Brian's butthole.
Yes. Hey, if I could pay my mortgage with butthole pictures, I totally would.
Chris.
Why didn't you renew?
Yeah.
You know what? If I had a
Oh.
mortgage that I could pay with $3 a month, I would.
Well, yeah.
Just saying. Even if it is with butthole pictures.
You know, you can't be mad at that they capitalized on it, and more power to them.
Mhm.
But that is like, it's capitalism coming full circle. Supply, demand, right in there.
Yeah, cut out the middleman.
Yep.
Ah.
So to speak.
Literally and figuratively.
I don't even know what OnlyFans does. I'm pretty sure it's dirty.
What you should check out, Rick, is OnlyPans.
Only pants.
Only pans.
I should,
Oh,
Chris.
we're on this. We've
no.
reached this part of the evening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were way off topic.
So sorry.
Yeah, well, we kind of killed the first topic. I mean, we pretty much.
I
as far
think
as
this
we
is one of the
goes.
few shows that we actually stayed on topic long enough to actually run its course.
Yeah. So,
Proud of you guys.
do you have ideas for next topic?
Jesus.
Roar, we love you.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
She's one of
next
our only
topic.
recurring watcher. I almost said fan, but
We don't have
clearly
those.
hasn't subscribed.
Clearly, we
so.
don't have fans. So the next topic, I was thinking something, and I don't know if we can fill a whole show with it, but or a whole evening, would be to do you, and I think this would hit home for a couple of people. How
Today, Junior.
how deep down the rabbit hole of listening to your
How deep you got?
There we go.
One more time.
Right over the cliff we went. So I've been cleaning up issues from consultants and MSPs that say you really need to do things this way, and they're really not the best way of doing things. We had an issue where we needed to recover some SQL data from certain backups, and the backups weren't reliable because the consultant set it up the way he wanted to. The recovery point was between backups and it was just bad. How far or how much credence, how much do you listen to your vendor, and when is it a good time to pull back or whatever? That kind of discussion, I was thinking that might be a good topic.
Okay. So I had put a couple in our chat, probably last week sometime, and you almost started to touch on one of them. Are they a vendor or are they a partner? Or maybe they're neither. You need to know the difference, because they probably do. So just don't mistake one for the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you need to know what you need as well. So
Indeed.
And maybe like to add to that, maybe some conversation around like, how do you take a vendor and turn them into a partner, right? Because that's a two-way street, and it's like it requires a skill set on both sides. It
Mhm.
requires a willingness on both sides, but it's absolutely a conversation that needs to occur before. Like, you don't just hire a partner.
Does your vendor think he's a partner, or they are a partner?
I mean, their marketing guy will tell you this. They do.
And is your vendor a partner if he never calls you? If they never call you to say anything, they don't check up on you, they just send you bills every month for whatever it is they're doing or not doing? That's not a partner.
nope.
No. So I'm going to give the counter case, right? I had a vendor who I think really was a partner, that was one of my favorite vendors because unless something was wrong, they only called twice a year. What they were selling was not particularly complex. It was a really straightforward relationship. And they answered when we called. They provided great advice. They would answer all the questions. They'd give a little explanatory stuff. They'd tell you the right way to go. But apart from that, if there was nothing to talk about, they'd leave you alone. Which, like, one of the biggest signs of respect from somebody that you're paying is that they're not trying to get you to pay them more all the time.
Right.
At the same time, somebody that's like, I'm collecting your check on a complex thing, and I'm just like, if you want something, you call me. Like, nah. If you're getting my Microsoft licensing money, and all you're doing is calling me at renewal time every year, you're not a partner.
That's not a partner. Nope.
And I think a good kind of another part of that would be if you're in the vendor role, like what kind of vendor do you want to be? Like I'm technically a vendor for the healthcare organizations that we work for. We are their outsourced help desk. I want to make sure that we have a partnership and flowing communication back and forth and that we're all on the same page and we're all getting along. Whereas I know a printer vendor that they work with where it's like trying to hunt down Jesus every time they need him to do something, so it's making sure you know exactly what you want.
Well,
Look,
Shauna, I'm going to tell you that
if you're going to hunt down Jesus, you got to hang out near pieces of toast, empty tombs, and roads to Cana. Just saying.
empty tombs.
I appreciate the toast one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, fuck. Shauna, what I was gonna say is I think it's pretty rare as a person that is a vendor, right? When you really want to be that partner. Because I hear you, we talk when we're driving home from work, whatever, you'll call me and whatever and tell me about your day and whatever and I truly think that you're an asset to your company and they need to listen to you more because you have that attitude, right? Because you do want to be what your customer needs you to be. And there are a lot of vendors out there that simply don't give a rat's ass.
Yeah, they just don't
As
care.
long as I'm paying the bill, they have nothing to say to me.
Yeah.
And
If that's the relationship that they want. I mean, because there's what you want to be as a vendor, and then there's what the customer is willing to accept or what they want from the relationship. If they don't want a partner, you know what? I'll just sell you shit. That's fine too.
For a little bit of added context, they actually have come to the point where they don't know how to manage that relationship anymore. So it may be outsourced to me to manage their other vendor. So that's how that's going.
Oh, I've been in that
one
situation.
One of your customers is contracting with a vendor to manage one of their other vendors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in that situation.
That's
It's wild.
That's gross.
At some point, so like that's the difference between, honestly, like that's one of the ways you can tell who the partner is and who the vendor is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The partner is the vendor that you trust to manage relationships with other vendors. And if you've selected a good partner, they're fully capable of it and might be better at it than you, right? Like at the end of the day, your bookkeeper is doing some of that work for you too, right?
Yeah.
So like if your accountant isn't managing your relationship with the IRS, get a new accountant.
Yeah. Or with your banks or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Forgive me for the crude term, but it kind of like the term one throat to choke it sounds like what's going on there, where they
Frankie,
want one
you're
vendor.
Adorable. Have you not heard the language that's been tossed around here tonight? But sorry.
Yeah.
I
It's
interrupted.
kind of what that sounds like to me is they want one vendor.
He is kind of cuddly looking and all that. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Don't let him
Welcome
fool
aboard,
you.
Frankie.
Gonna make me blush.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a solid point. That's definitely, they only have to go to one point and they're going to know that it's going to get taken care of instead of running around trying to catch these other people. I feel empowered that they trust me with that kind of stuff and that they want to loop me in to that capacity. But it is kind of when you think about it, it's kind of sad that it has to be that way, you know?
Well, it could be or could not be. I mean, if they've recognized that the vendor, you, and your company, and they like Brian and Chris were saying, they trust you and they have faith in you. It makes sense for them to use that as much as possible, right? Even though it's going to cost them a little bit more money, or it should cost them a little bit more money, they're getting this value from that dollar that they're spending, right? So it makes sense. I don't know. I pay to have all kinds of stuff done for me because I don't want to do it. That's the nature of having a vendor relationship. Right? I hire somebody to talk to Jesse for me for most of the time because I just don't want to do that. It's pick on Jesse night.
It'd be money well spent. Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about it before the show, before you came on, Jesse, and we all agree it would be money well spent.
We got to get together for another round of engineers and beers or something. And
yeah.
I get asked
Well,
ChatGPT.
speaking of good vendor relationships, I mean, that's one I believe. I mean, and that's one I've fostered and maintained and carefully watered for the last decade, is my personal relationship with Palo Alto and their various salespeople and whatever that have come through. I mean, myself and Jesse's company, we have a weekly meeting with our Palo reps, not because they want us to buy anything. It's just to make sure that everything is going as expected and to plan the next beers with engineers sometimes.
Yeah.
So
my
and
one
even
piece
those
of
are
feedback for beers for engineers is send the first notice out a little earlier.
yeah, this one was very short notice.
Yeah, I wound up not doing that phone system upgrade, so I could have gone to that last one. That was
Yeah. But I mean, the beers with the engineers events, those aren't like sales events. We barely even talk about Paul, at least not from like that perspective. But you get a bunch of guys that do that. They tend to start talking about it and they start helping each other with their problems,
right?
Which is kind of the whole.
That's the whole idea.
Of it.
And we don't actually have to wait for an organized event with any particular company. There's
I mean, we
there's-
could hold a live.
You're all
live
in the
stream.
same area.
I mean, we can always grab like a handle of vodka and go down by the railroad tracks and just kind of hang out if you wanted to.
Just do what comes naturally.
Yeah. Just wake up underneath the overpass. It's fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
Singing
Not like it's never happened before.
Hit Dad with some Fireball, you'll be entertained for
I can't drink that crap anymore. I just can't do it anymore.
I won't touch that. Yeah.
That Halloween party that the next day, remember I had you come over because I thought I was dying.
Yeah, I live 35 minutes away, and he had me come over because he thought he was either A, about to die, or B, about to die and needed to go to the hospital.
It was probably one of the worst hangovers I think I've ever had.
So either he was having you come deal with his corpse. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
Or making sure that he wasn't going to be a corpse. In which case, thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, it's all in the inflection.
Don't say I never helped you with anything.
I asked ChatGPT. Let me see here. Is spending money to have someone talk to Jesse money well spent? And after a little coaxing, I got it to respond in a Russian accent. So here you go. Da, my friend. Talking to Jesse. It can be a tricky situation, you know? Spending money to have someone else handle the conversation. It can be a good idea, depending on the circumstances. Sometimes it's better to bring in a professional, someone who knows how to navigate difficult discussions. They can help keep things on track and achieve the desired outcome. But of course, you must consider the costs and benefits. Is it worth the investment? Will it lead to a positive resolution? You must weigh these factors carefully, my friend, and make the decision that is right for you. ChatGPT, has devolved to giving corporatized non-answers.
Yeah, non-answer. Yeah.
Way to go.
Take that, robots.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that the night wasn't going to be complete until we had a chat GPT session. So.
Yes. Oh, Jesse, we love you.
I pay people to love Jesse.
Outsource it. Yeah.
That's illegal in our state.
Yeah, Frankie, this is typically how all these conversations happen. We do good for a little while, then we're right down.
Yeah, it gets weird in the last hour, the second hour.
Right.
Third hour, the fourth hour.
Oh man, don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
I can take a lot, but I don't know that I can take
lot.
4 hours of this.
I
And
think
like-
our longest
No.
call was about 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
I think we've gone a little bit longer, but yeah, they just completely break down after an hour usually.
Yeah.
We probably should call them at the hour mark. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah.
We could have a second stream, the after show.
After show. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
After party. Ugh.
Something like
Do that
Oh.
on Fridge Scribbles.
Right. Fridge scribbles. We need to do one of those soon too.
Yeah, we should do one on AI because Francois wants to get in on that.
Yeah.
Explain to Shauna and Grendel and probably Frankie what fridge scribbles are.
Yeah.
Oh, it's another channel we have. It's the non-IT channel. It's when we have just general stuff. And like when we have people on that aren't IT people.
Oh, nice.
Right. I mean,
So,
Here, I thought you were talking about something like Jackbox, and I was like, we're in. But
no. So the idea came from a night of interesting discussion and a fair amount of drinking at Brian's house, where where his lovely wife Katie woke up in the morning to a stainless steel refrigerator covered in whiteboard marker notation.
I mean, I guess if it works as a whiteboard,
It did.
Yeah.
It worked great.
yeah,
Cleaned up
it
well.
did.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think my wife texted Brian at like 2 a.m. like, is my husband still there? Is he still alive?
A text I didn't notice until 3 or 4. It was like, Chris, you should probably go home. Yeah, I think it wasn't getting light, but it was like it was about to start getting light.
Yeah, the birds are starting to wake up and chirp.
Yeah, the horizon is starting to
Glow.
de-darken. Yeah, glow.
Yeah,
De-darken, he says.
De-darken.
yeah. It was a good time. I will say that.
Yes.
At my 40th birthday party, we were kicking people out of here at 5:30 in the morning. Will you please go home? It's time for you to go home. I want to go to bed. So
That was before they unified time zones, right?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that party and like coming out and being like, I want to hang out, and you guys being like, no, with my like 6-year-old self or whatever. I vividly remember that.
All right.
Before you guys get too far down the holes you are going into, I think we are going to vacate, but it has been lovely to talk with you guys.
well, thanks for joining.
You don't want to
guys
get
should come
far
on
down the
more
hole
often.
with us, Shauna?
Absolutely. And we'll have to do that more. Join more. Are you awake?
I am awake. Yeah.
Yes.
He's
Pass
just
us that
taking it all in. It's fine.
All right. Well, you guys have a good rest of your night. We will talk to you later.
Good to see
Thank
you,
you very
Shauna.
much.
Take it
Good night,
easy.
Shauna.
Take it easy,
Good night,
Grendel.
Grendel.
Good night. There we go.
All right, they're gone.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them fuckers.
They'll never know what we said. So yeah, anything else pressing that anybody wants to bring up?
I'm still looking forward to retirement.
I had
Retirement?
one more topic queued up that was the not like future topic. Oh.
Sure.
Future topic.
Oh yeah, another. We originally started talking about topics for future shows, and then we started diving into one of the topics.
Yeah. We did that last week too. Yeah.
Yeah, but this once again, it was one I thought about
Oh,
right
yeah.
after thinking about this one. It kind of is the like what are we giving to them as well, which we kind of covered, but it's kind of more getting deeper into the mentoring thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are you mentoring or are you talking at someone?
Right.
Because
I don't know, Frankie. Which am I doing?
After the 15 or 20-minute mark, maybe it's more of the talking.
Yeah, yeah.
After
That
he's
is
made
very
his point
fair.
2 or 3 times.
Outstanding. Yes.
I
yeah,
mean-
hold on, let me reword that slightly and give you the entire speech again.
I have totally I've ended a fair number of calls with Frankie, like, so now that I've gone on for about an hour more than you wanted or needed, I'm sorry.
I just appreciate that he knows he's long-winded and and usually says something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't catch it sooner. Right, like that could be helpful. Yes, we'll be starting that channel soon.
Yeah.
Yes. All
So-
right. I
so
mean,
stay
yeah,
tuned.
well,
Go ahead.
yeah, we'll kick some stuff around and try and figure out something semi-interesting, at least to us, which is basically the whole point of the channel, is to amuse ourselves. If anybody else watches, I mean, that's cool too.
Well, we've got Aurora and one other person making comments. So we know we have at least 2 people watching the show tonight.
Yeah, there's 2 people watching right now. Well, there's 2 people on Facebook. On YouTube.
I have no idea about the other platforms.
Rumble and the other thing, LinkedIn, don't show up. Let's see how many are on. So 1 on Rumble.
You think LinkedIn would get a little bit of traction, right?
Yeah.
I saw we had one from LinkedIn earlier. So.
Oh, okay.
You accidentally clicked the link.
I mean, I think we were up to 5 at one point. So.
Tonight,
not
really?
bad numbers. Yeah, and for a little while, like not just like somebody accidentally clicked the link and then, search for something else as quickly as they could.
What are you doing, buddy?
So,
one attendee.
Yep.
That's embarrassing.
I mean, stuff happens.
Post it for people to watch it. Cool. All right. Well, I mean, if we have nothing else, let's wrap this up, because we're about at where the 2-hour mark would have landed had we not started extremely late.
Yeah.
So, thank you everyone for joining us, especially you, Frankie, since you're new. You're welcome to join us anytime. The more the merrier. Or just go in the comments and heckle us. That's cool too. So
we
whatever
welcome
you're
that.
into.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. It makes it more interesting when I'm actually paying attention to the chat, because Aurora kept commenting and I was missing it until it was like not on topic anymore, like the going down holes. Sorry, Aurora. Jesse will make it up to you.
Yes.
He will not go down the wrong hole. I can't promise that.
No, you're making promises that,
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone both people that watched, and thank you for everyone that was on the panel. See you guys next week, probably Tuesday.
Later.
or
That'll be
something.
today.
Or something. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
All
What
right.
is this? What do you want, Log?
PG, please.
Oh,
It's Virgin ears
sorry.
can't handle it. Yeah.
That's got to be Benny, isn't it?
Yes.
Procter and Gamble.
Yeah.
I can find something
Yeah.
from them, but
No, it's soft
Uh,
lips. Soft lips,
yep.
boy.
Soft hands.
Soft lips, boy. Bring them soft lips over here, boy.
Well, you got a pretty mouth.
Anyways,
Well, on that note,
see you guys next week. Maybe
Alrighty then.
we'll figure it out.